and that consists of 16 community passes and 34 in our colleges. We have 5 dedicated sign-written vehicles with auxiliary brakes. We're about to replace one at the end of this month, which is why we still need, for the last year, for this moving forward, 50k to operate this program. We've got 30 from the Community Road Safety Fund. We've got 5k already locked in from CDC, from Masterton District Council, and of course we're applying through Masterton District Council and also South Wairarapa District Council, and those outcomes are yet unknown. As I said, we've got about 40 community volunteers. We've got 9 college staff involved in this program, and on top of those colleges we support Tackle Wānanga, police referrals, particularly coming from the Youth and Alternative Resolutions Court, and we'll work very closely with Sergeant Roger Newton, who fronts that court, and he's the local iwi liaison type sergeant. We work very closely with REAP, that's where our officers are, and now it's extended to restricted to full licences. Waka Kotahi want to see people continue along, or move along the continuum of driver licensing to full licences, and the issue is of course that people pull their licences and stay on them. So we're involved in that, and that's a rather big program, and I'll get to hear back from REAP as to their next steps, but we're fully involved with them and their support staff. It is a very, very successful program. We need to keep this sustainable. As is, you know, I've mentioned the outcomes. I don't think there's a better performing program in the country. I don't mind blowing my own horn as far as that's concerned. We have an incredible pool of talent, dedicated mentors. It's a challenge to keep them all motivated, although most of them are self-motivated. They want to give back to the community and help these particularly young people. And I don't think we have to go into the barriers that they face. We all know that. Obviously, it's a great pathway to employment. We estimate, and it's quite hard for when the kids leave school, but we estimate about 65% of those positive outcomes do get either part-time or full-time work, which obviously supports local economies in the region, and particularly in Masterton. That's where the biggest cohorts are. There is the matter of getting out of the justice cycle. Once you're in that justice cycle, it's very hard to get out. So, and of course, safe drivers. That is my main, one of my main focuses. And I haven't heard one crash, not one crash. Have I heard anecdotally, and I work very closely with the police, resulting from any of these clients getting their licences. So I think that's an outstanding outcome as well, and it's a credit to the program and also the volunteers. Quite passionate about it. It's a big hot button topic around the country at the moment. So that's the program team, and happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Bruce. It's a little bit late, but just a reminder you're being live streamed as you present. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, Manama?
You said that they have volunteers, you have volunteers. What are they used for?
Oh, they're the driver mentors. So these people I source from the community, from service grids, word of mouth, school communities. They are trained by myself, and they understand the competencies required to pass the practical driving tests. So they actually attend the colleges, and the students are released, and weekly they take them out for an hour. Some of my mentors are taking 3 students out per week. They have become that passionate and they realise the outcomes are so incredible that, as I said, they are taking, in some instances, 3 students out. So once they get to a stage, they're assessed, well, they're assessed twice actually, before they're booked in, and hopefully they pass the test.
I ask that only because I think that instructors need to be really good drivers and not teach us on bad habits. So it's good that they have training. Thank you.
Yeah, and of course, just additionally, we've got both driving instructors in the Wairarapa on board the program as well. So they're used to assess the students, where they are and their abilities, and we'll rely on them. But also, I also undertake referrals, assessments as well. They're a dedicated bunch, fantastic, and we just want to see this program remain sustainable and grow.
Any more questions? Yes, Gary?
G'day, Bruce, Gary here. Bruce, I see by your funding you're awaiting 30k from the Community Road Safety Fund. Is that fund central government, is it, or how's that fund operate?
Yep, thank you very much, Gary. Yes, we've actually got it. It's sitting in the Masterton District Council Finances team's budget, which then they just put it into my operating budget for the program. It's actually, the Community Road Safety Fund is administered by Dennis Krecker, who is employed by Waka Kotaki, but the actual fund, the revenue there is raised from personalised plates.
Okay, thank you. That's good.
Just a question from me. So Bruce, what sort of numbers do you think, just going from your own experience, wouldn't go on to get a licence but would choose to drive anyway if this program wasn't available? Do you have evidence of that sort of thing?
Well, the evidence is that from the police in particular, they're amazed at this program. They assure me that if it wasn't for this program, they'd be picking up, well, as I said, we've done 316 in total, hundreds of particularly young people, because as we know, it's a bit of an isolated region. Those kids will be driving around, illegally, and of course, without the program, they haven't got the skills. So the program not only tunes out safe drivers, but legal drivers as well.
Great, thanks, Bruce. And Bex?
Hi Bruce, Bex here.
Hey, Bex.
Hey, just a question. You mentioned you have service groups as volunteers. Do you also get any funding from any of the local service groups, such as Rotary, etc.?
Yes, no, not for the spot, or not for any program actually, Bex. But what I do is just keep close contacts with them and network with them, because they're a great source of mentors. At the moment, it's fairly sustainable, but next year I think I'm going to have to do it, because 3 or 4 have indicated that they've done their dash. So I'll approach Lions, Probus, Rotary in particular, being great supporters of the program. It's just a matter of keeping those networks up and those groups supporting our program as mentors.
Thank you.
Any more questions? No? Right, thanks Bruce. We'll let you know the outcome of your application next week. Thanks for your time and thanks for your preparation.
Thanks to the committee. All the best.
Cheers. Yep. So next we have Carlin Harrison from the Kids Need Dads Charitable Trust. Are you online, Carlin? Yes, he is. So welcome. Just a reminder that you're being live streamed, and you have 10 minutes, 7 minutes to present, and 3 minutes for questions from the councillors. So all yours, Carlin, go for it.
Sorry, first of all, I'd just like to say thanks for having this opportunity for everyone. Here in the Wairarapa, we have a few programs funding event opportunities for local dads, families, children to come along and participate in. We've established a Wairarapa Dads group that regularly meets 3 times a month, and that is for any dads in the Wairarapa, even all the way up to Ekatahuna. We have a couple from out there. who, you know, might just like to meet a few other dads, have, you know, someone to talk to, anything really. So we meet, so for that we meet the first 3 weekends of each month, doing different things. The first 2 weekends are 2 coffee groups. One's based in Masterton, and one is based in Masterton, the second. The third one being is a bushwalk, and obviously that does come down to weather sometimes. We obviously don't want to take children out if it's pouring down rain, anything like that, for safety reasons. So we, you know, sort of that one's a bit of a discretion each month. We also have a dad's care program that we run, well, every day we do it. We can meet either dads in person, online, or sort of however best suits them. Within that dad's care program, we help dads establish connection with their children, so they have, you know, sometimes it's shared care, sometimes it's sole care, sometimes it's, you know, just supervised care. Depends on sort of, you know, the individual circumstance. So that's the big part of the dad's care program where the funding goes towards, to be able to help these dads free of charge. We also meet every 4th Thursday at 7:30 p.m. In Masterton, and that just gives an opportunity for some of the dads to come along, have a bit of a chat, who can't sort of, you know, come through the day on a weekly basis, we sort of provide that opportunity, again, free of charge, and we can either get guest speakers in, or we could just, you know, sit there and have a bit of a coffee and a chat about their circumstances and where they're going, where they want to go, anything like that. We also have our kids care program, which we're trying to get up and running here in the Wairarapa, which is supervised access. That's a work in progress at the moment. So it's a long sort of process. We have to go through family courts and things like that to be able to get it granted. So we're hoping to have that in the sort of next 6 months. But that again depends on sort of what the availability is in terms of family court wanting us, and things like that. We also run events for Children's Day, Father's Day, and in the past we have done a couple of things for Mother's Day. And again, these are completely free activities where we hire out event centres or you know, maybe some rugby ovals or something like that, and we get in a few bouncy castles, get a magician, you know, just a few things for the kids to be able to do. Again, we try and suit to all ages of the children. This year we got the local organisation Go Zone on board, and they were actually really generous in paying for all dads for Friday through Sunday for the Father's Day weekend, and we paid for all children. So we got probably around about 100 fathers through over the course of the 3 days. with sort of on average 2 children per father. Again, and you know, the mums, or there were quite a few mums that came along, so it became a family event, which was really nice. So we do that every year as much as possible. We also try and do something sort of towards the end of the year for Christmas. The last couple of years we haven't been able to do that, unfortunately, but we certainly do try and get that done. Yeah. So I don't know if that's 7 minutes or not, but
Spot on, Carlin. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
no worries.
Right, Stella.
Thanks. Hi, Carlin. I have 2 questions for you. Will you be approaching the Masterton District Council for funding also, just given that quite a few of your meetings and whatnot are based from Masterton?
My answer to that is I'm not entirely sure. I believe we do.
Okay.
I am just not responsible for the funding applications. One of our managers do all the funding applications to each sort of place, but from recent discussions with him, I believe we have either already made an application or we will be. But yeah, I can't give you a definite yes or no.
It's okay. And my other question was, and you may have mentioned it, sorry, and I've missed it, I just wanted to write it down. How many fathers are you sort of working with on average, I guess, over a year?
Currently, well, on average, we'd probably get 300.
Gosh, okay.
So quite a few. Currently, I have 15 current dads with myself.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've regularly, you know, been asked to take on more. Unfortunately, with myself just being the only one in the Wairarapa, we sometimes just don't have the capacity to do that. But yeah, we would certainly get up close to the 300 plus mark in a year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Bex.
Carlin, thanks for your presentation. Hey, just a question. I noticed a lot of the money that funding that you're seeking is for venue hire and rent. What venues do you use, and what is the rent for?
Okay, yep, so we use 3 Mile for our dance care programs. Both the 4th Thursday night meeting we run there, and we also have 2 days a week where we see our clients and that sort of thing. We have an office we book there, and so that's what the rent and that covers. Also then covers if we hire, say for example, the courthouse in Masterton, or you know, something else like a play centre or something for a Father's Day event or a Children's Day event. That's also what that covers as well.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Marama?
And thank you. Could you tell me what range of ethnicities do you cater for?
We have currently, off the top of my head, 5 different ethnicities in terms of current clients, but we certainly don't discriminate in any way. So we will take anyone with ethnicity, any ethnicity. It's more about whether they would like to come on board and have us support them, rather than what we accept, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Just one, oh sorry, Gary, go for a minute.
Yeah, Gary here, Carlin. Thank you for that. Carlin, you've obviously got have you got an overall arching national body, and does that national body provide funds for you guys?
We do have a national body. We have 5 offices nationwide. So we have 1 in Christchurch, 1 in Auckland, R1 here. We also have our office runs over to Kapiti as well, and we have 1 in Tauranga. In terms of them supporting through funding, I actually could not answer that question for you, unfortunately. Again, I don't sort of do the budgeting side of things. I'm more the dad's care and kids care programs. That's my role. I would to give you an answer. I would say I would presume we would, but that wouldn't be a 100% yes. I wouldn't be able to give you a 100% definite answer, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just one more from me. So you said, when you talked about 300, is that 300 dads across the country, but specifically in Masterton or the Wairarapa, is it 15 dads, or is it 300 dads that you work with in Masterton or the Wairarapa?
So between, so we run right from Wellington right through to sort of, well, pretty much anywhere lower North Island is what we cover, and we get to see them in the Wairarapa, so we see them here in the Wairarapa, which is where usually the means of video conferencing comes into it. So within sort of our office of that, huge region, really, because it is quite a large area, we would get 300 dads. Yeah, so I mean that's where that would come from here.
Thanks, Carlin. Right, that's everything from us. So thank you for your presentation, and thank you for... Oh, sorry, one more question. Big part of it, Bex.
Can I please just clarify that? So are you able to tell me how many dads you deal with in Masterton specifically, or not?
I can give you a rough answer on that. So currently, out of my 15 current clients, 10 of them are based in Masterton. Clients that I've had this year, probably around, I would say 80% of them have been based in Masterton.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carlin. Thanks for your time.
No worries, thanks for your time.
Cheers. Right. Next we have Katie Roden from the Good Bitches Trust. And welcome, Katie. You've got, just a reminder that you're being live streamed, and you have 10 minutes. There's 7 minutes for you to present, and then there'll be 3 minutes of questions from councillors. And who else do we have? We've got Katie and...
Hi, Courtney. Hello.
And Courtney. Katie and Courtney. Thank you. Go for it, guys.
Hi, team. Firstly, thank you for having us. I see you've got a lot of people that you're talking to today, so it's a pleasure for us to be here. Just some context. So my name's Katie. I'm the General Manager of Good Bitches Trust, which we go under the name Good Bitches Baking in terms of our operations. And Courtney is one of our fabulous volunteers who's here to represent the Masterton region today. She's on the committee there of our local team of volunteers. So just to give you some context, I hope our application kind of gave you guys a really good flavour of what we do, but essentially we are a volunteer-led organisation in which we connect home bakers and drivers, a way for them to contribute by making delicious, yummy treats, and we partner with organisations who support people having some kind of a tough time or crisis in our communities. You'll possibly see from the supporting information that we provided you guys that we work with a really wide range of organisations doing very different things. So in the Masterton area, you'll note that we currently are working with 11 recipient organisations ranging from hospice, refuge, organisations supporting young people, people going through a cancer journey, etc. So I guess what we do is we know that you can't solve the world with cake, but we do know that the little that we do to support these organisations has a really huge impact. We get told often that our baking is used in a number of different ways and for different reasons. That might be often as simple as providing some kai to open up, a difficult conversation with someone to break the ice. It's often used where a lot of these organisations, probably some of whom might even be recipients of ours, often have very limited budgets. So we can come and offer support in that sense as well. And maybe, Courtney, given that you're on the ground in the Masterton region, you can talk a little bit more, maybe particularly from the volunteer side and what you know to be true of the impact that our work has both on the volunteers and the recipients, if you could.
Yeah, sure thing. So hi, I'm Courtney, Masterton born and bred, and I've been giving my time to Good Bitches for 2 years now. Our Wairarapa chapter started in Masterton 8 years ago. We've got 43 based Masterton volunteers who all donate time every week to go to these different recipients. My count is actually we've got 15 Masterton recipients, so a little bit up from your numbers there, Katie. We've actually got a few. So that's the likes of Wairarapa Hospice, Masterton Food Bank, Emerge Aotearoa, King Street Artworks, Shelter Masterton, a whole bunch more. And on average, we're delivering about 50 boxes a month to Masterton-based charities and our recipients. I can speak to delivering some of the boxes myself. Places like Shelter Masterton, it's a really big part of their week. These are people who are often struggling and not in a great place. And I've heard from those recipients directly that it's nice to feel like someone cares about them and there's someone who's willing to put time out of their week to bake for them, drop that off and show a bit of love. And I just think that's such a lovely thing. This year we also did a one-off event and baked for the Wairarapa Relay for Life for the cancer survivors afternoon tea there, which was fantastic. It's just, from my personal point of view, it's amazing that we can kind of get a little bit more involved in our community. I feel like I understand our community a little bit more now, going into these different charities and recipients around Masterton and sort of seeing the difference that literally a little box of bacon can make each week with those people. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, the other thing I'd add to that about the volunteer side as well, one thing we hear so often is, we know for a fact that the majority of our volunteers are in part-time or full-time work mainly, so for them this is kind of a gateway kind of option for volunteering, in that so much as you do it in your own time around your own availability, and you don't need to be at a certain place at a certain time, and we find that's extremely helpful in terms of the way we can recruit volunteers and maintain them as well. Yes, I just wanted to make that point that's, as an organisation that relies on volunteers, we need to make sure that we are providing as many flexible opportunities for them as possible. Yeah. So that's probably us in a nutshell. I don't know if you guys had any specific question about stuff we'd included in our application or anything you'd like us to clarify in terms of our local operations there in Masterton.
Yep, first, so Bex, go for it.
Hi, thanks. Hey, Courtney.
Hi. Oh, hey, Bex. I can't see you on the camera, but hi, I recognise the voice.
Hey, just a question. Have you approached the local trusts for support as well? As an example, Trust House?
That's probably best for Katie to answer.
Trust House, did you say?
Yes.
Or no, no, we haven't.
Masterton Community Trust is their funding arm.
Okay, I'm writing that down.
I'd like to make that suggestion.
Okay, thank you very much.
That was my only question, thank you.
Did you have a question, Stella?
No, that was pretty much asking the same thing.
Great, no more questions. Oh, Gary, yep.
Yeah, hi Courtney.
Hi, Gary.
How do you, just listening to you, do you guys work in with the likes of the community kitchen and Why Waste or whatever? Are you separate?
So we actually have a bit of a kind of, I'd say, circular economy with some of those places. I know, for example, the community kitchen and the Masterton Food Bank quite often get donated ingredients that are not actually going to be the most useful to people who are receiving them. So the example is bulk flour or bulk like raisins and stuff like that. So what they actually do is end up giving it back to us, and then we turn it into baking, which we then take back, and then they can give that to their recipients or to the people who are using the food bank. So it's quite handy in a way that we can kind of facilitate that. Otherwise, a lot of stuff would go to waste. I don't know if you've been to the food bank recently, but there's a lot of bulk flour and bulk ingredients like that people potentially aren't going to be able to use in the best way. So the fact that we can do it and then give it back to them is quite helpful.
Right, thank you.
And that's probably actually just a good point to make as well, that all our volunteers self-fund their own ingredients. So that's huge. It's probably at least $20 that they're contributing for every box of baking, which, given we know how expensive basic ingredients like eggs and butter are currently, it's a huge factor in terms of the generosity of those volunteers. That allows us to keep doing what we're doing as well. Though we do have a fund called Cup of Sugar, so if we have volunteers that would love to participate but can't due to their own circumstances financially, we still have a way to get them involved as well.
Wonderful. Thanks, Katie. Thanks, Courtney. Thanks for your time and thanks for doing what you do. We'll let you know.
Thanks so much. Thanks for your
We'll let you know the outcome in a week.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
See ya. Bye.
Right. So next we have Bob Wilton from the Masterton Motorplex Incorporated, and this is for the events fund. So welcome, Bob. So Bob, you've got 10 minutes, 7 minutes to present, and 3 minutes for questions from councillors. And just a reminder, Bob, that you're being live streamed as well. So when you're ready, the floor is yours. Can you hear us, Bob?
Okay, now I can, yes.
Right, all yours. You've got 7 minutes, Bob, and then 3 minutes for questions after that. And just a reminder, you're being live streamed.
Sorry?
You're being live streamed as well.
Okay, no sweat. Okay, for people that don't know me, my name's Bob Wilton. I'm the chairman cum manager of Masterton Motorplex. Why we're putting in for this, we've been doing it for quite a few years now, and it goes towards the secretary and the coordination of running Masterton Motorplex. Basically, it's grown to a point now where everybody's telling us we're the best track in New Zealand. There's only 2 purpose-built facilities in New Zealand, but there's a lot of aerodromes and circuit tracks. So the secretary's job has gone from 10 hours a week to 20 hours a week. So the contribution, what the council puts in, helps us tremendously. In saying that, we've just had a very successful season, but it's an ongoing thing out there, building bits and pieces. Like we just saved up some money for a new set of toilets. We're just putting in a pole shed for the machinery. We just bought some machinery in that. So as an incorporated society, what we make, we put back into it, but we're always looking for more. We've reached a point now where we've got $2 million worth of assets out there, and like I said, we've come to a position where we've got promoters begging us virtually to let them have one of our meetings so they can show us what they can do. Also, I'd like to mention at this stage too, at the moment we have 5 to 6 meetings a year, and we'd like to build that up to at least 10 meetings. That's how big it's getting. And virtually that's all I've got to say about it.
Thanks, Bob. Right, any questions? You have a question for Bex?
Yeah, hi Bob, Bex here.
Yeah.
Hey, just a question I wanted to ask. I know that many years ago when you were establishing, Trust House was a big supporter of Masterton Motorplex. Have you received any funding from them, or is your intention to apply for any funding from Trust House in the future?
We've got a couple of projects, Bex, yes, to ask Trust House. We haven't asked them though for a couple of years, but they've got something coming up real soon. So yes, we will be.
Thank you.
Gary?
G'day Bob, Gary here. Hey Bob,
Yeah.
In terms of the track there, is it multi-purpose? Are you using, is there other organisations using it?
Basically, seeing it's a straight line, Gary, it's mostly used for drag track, but what we do hire it to is the New Zealand Police, and we've got a contract with them for all their gear, but just recently we've added a few more of those sort of people to it, so it's getting more and more hirages for other things, but there's no facility there for like circuit racing or anything. We do sublease a bit of land to the car club, and in return they use it for people down Wellington and so on. They sort of sublease it or whatever, hire it to other people, you know.
Great, Bob, thank you.
Yeah. Bex?
Yeah, hey Bob, on your event income and contributions, I noticed you've just put the income in relation to actually the meetings that you hold. What sort of income do you think you currently get from your hireage that you've just spoken about?
The hireage, that would probably be in the vicinity of about 40,000 a year. And hey, I don't mind saying either, signage out there. We've got a lot of people what support us in the way of motels where you buy food and beverage and that signage brings us in $60,000 a year. So, you know, we're running a business, eh? And everything helps, of course.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for your time and thanks for your presentation. And we'll let you know the outcome of your application next week. So thanks again for your time.
Yeah, thank you for the chance.
Right. So next up we've got Rebecca Johnston from the SPCA. So welcome, Rebecca. Is she also? Oh, I'm not here yet. Okay. Right, welcome Rebecca. Can you hear us?
Hi. I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you and we can see you as well. So Rebecca, so you have 10 minutes to present and then there'll be 3 minutes from councillors at the end. And just a reminder as well that you're being live streamed. So all yours, Rebecca, go for it.
Oh, well, first of all, hello. Thanks for having me. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to talk with you today. My name is Rebecca Johnston and I am the Centre Manager for the Masterton branch of the SPCA. I've been working for the SPCA for the past 14 years and the last 5 of these years have been dedicated to the Masterton Centre. We've been extremely grateful for your ongoing support over the last 5 years and we hope to continue this relationship in the future. A community that provides a safe haven for animals is a united community that works together to be positive and caring. The Masterton Centre is a vital part of the Wairarapa community and it is important that we are here to continue to protect those that are the most vulnerable in our society. The last 2 years have been traumatic due to COVID, weather impacts and the cost of living crisis, and many families are struggling to give their animals the best possible care. Today we are asking for $7,500 from the Community Wellbeing Grant. This will help the Masterton SPCA to continue to provide professional animal welfare services to the Wairarapa community by our inspectorate, our in-house vet and vet nurse and the centre staff. Our team of animal welfare inspectors continues to be busy. We have 2 inspectors based in the Wairarapa. Animal welfare inspectors are enforcement officers with powers under the Animal Welfare Act. And since July 2022, they have responded to 233 animal welfare complaints. And this is up, unfortunately, 18% from the previous year. We continue to work with local vet clinics for emergency care and desexing. And as of February 2023, the desexing caravan has been permanently retired to the Masterton Centre. And this is a huge asset to the SPCA and the wider Wairarapa community. Currently, the Masterton SPCA Centre is the only vet clinic in the Wairarapa offering low-cost desexing to those families in need. Over the last year, we have desexed 550 animals at the Masterton Centre. Desexing 550 animals prevents tens of thousands of animals unnecessarily being born. This is an amazing achievement, especially when you take into account a vet and vet nurse only work 1 to 2 days a week, and the desexing caravan was away from the Masterton Centre for 4 months last spring on its last tour. The Wairarapa region has a huge wildcat population, and the majority of the kittens coming into the Masterton Centre are born to wild and semi-social cats. Population control through cat and kitten desexing plays a crucial role in maintaining a healthy and balanced ecosystem and protecting our native wildlife. Working within the SPCA's mandate and resources, there is only so much we can do for this wildcat population. The SPCA is dedicated to working with the community to help trap and desex these animals, but at a local level we need some more support. And we need to work together to tackle this very real problem. We have a great relationship with Masterton Animal Control, and we will continue to work together to find the best possible outcomes for those animals in need. Dog ownership is becoming a luxury that people can't afford, and this is reflected in the increased number of inquiries we're getting on a weekly basis with people needing to rehome their dogs. The Masterton Centre continues to take in hundreds of animals each year. In the past 12 months, we have taken in 815 animals into the care of the Masterton SPCA, and this is a 4% increase from the previous year. Of these animals, 510 were adopted into loving families. We have such a wide variety of people coming into the centre, with our oldest adoptee being 85 years old, and many young families coming in to adopt their first family pet and teaching their children the importance about responsible pet ownership. This is very much a testament to our presence in the community and the reputation that we have created. These are just a few of the many success stories that we can share. So I've got a little dog here, just pulling at the heartstrings here. So this is Quinn. Quinn came into the care of the SPCA on the 21st of March 2022 and was officially adopted on the 28th of April 2023. Quinn was 8 months when he came into our care and was now nearly 2 years old. We don't have time limits at the SPCA, and we're always striving to give our animals the very best care until they're finally happy ever after. Staff member Katie Story was instrumental in Quinn's care both mentally and physically, and when Quinn's new family, Jeremy and Rebecca, came along, we knew he had hit the jackpot. And here's just a little, you can see him, I'm not sure if you can see him on the couch there, but with his new family, it's pretty awesome. We also had a cat called Kanda come into the SPCA care, and when he arrived, we were all a little shocked that he was still alive. Our vet diagnosed him with the worst case of ringworm that she had ever seen. Ringworm is a very contagious disease, and in a centre environment, it can be devastating. After months of intensive care and medication, Kanda became an extremely affectionate and beautiful cat. Kanda was adopted by a lovely lady, and he's absolutely adored in his new home with a very doting human. So of course I've got pictures of Kanda. So I'm not sure if you can see, but at the top, this very, very sick cat, and then down the bottom, this beautiful fluff ball. And there, you can see him again. The Masterton SPCA provides several opportunities for our local community to engage in various roles. We have many volunteering positions. Our volunteers are a crucial part of the day-to-day running of the centre, and we couldn't achieve the extraordinary outcomes we do without them. Here's just a few examples of the variety of volunteers at the centre. Kerry is a recently retired gentleman with a heart of gold who just can't sit still. And I'm sure Kerry's family have been the guiding force behind him volunteering just to get them out of bed here. And for this, we are very grateful. Kerry volunteers every week from Monday to Friday. He begins his morning feeding and cleaning our kitten room and rabbits. You often hear him chatting away and making endearing noises. Then he takes on self-directed chores around the centre. We found Kerry on the roof clearing gutters, water blasting, weed spraying or mowing the lawns, and making the centre look amazing. Jade is currently a student at Solway College, and every Thursday after school, Jade comes in and volunteers at the centre. Jade is a huge animal lover and fits her volunteering around all of her other extracurricular activities. Caitlin started as a volunteer to complete her animal course through UCOL. After graduating, Caitlin has stayed on volunteering and gaining valuable work experience. Caitlin hasn't had the best start in life and was brought up in the foster care system. It has been great watching her grow in confidence and independence during her time at the centre, and she has recently started volunteering at the op shop. The Masterton Centre creates an environment where people can share their love of animals while helping to rescue and rehabilitate through our foster program. Over the past year, we have fostered 387 animals, and we could not achieve the amazing outcomes we do without our dedicated foster families. This includes a mammoth effort from the Masterton Centre staff, particularly fostering very vulnerable, sick and those needing special round-the-clock attention. Deborah and her husband Rick have fostered 75 animals over the past few years, including bottle feeders, shy and semi-social cats and kittens. They've created a dedicated space in their home to provide the very best care for them. Rick was quite reluctant to foster to begin with, but it's more often than not, he's the one shedding tears when the cats and kittens come back to the centre to find their forever homes. And I've just got a lovely photo here of Rick covered in kitten, and also his lovely wife Deborah.
Great. Thanks, Rebecca.
The SPCA,
That's your 7 minutes. That's your 7 minutes up. Is there anyone who's got questions? So Bex.
Yep, thanks for that. Hey, just two questions. How many volunteers would you have? And also, if you were to isolate the desexing program from your overall costs, what do you think the desexing program would cost? Operational expense.
in regards to the desexing program, I'm not actually sure, to be perfectly honest. We are funded through we have a national desexing team.
Yeah.
And they reimburse all of the desexing costs.
Okay.
Well, a lot of the desexing costs that we incur.
And number of volunteers that you probably have at the moment? Or
probably, yeah, volunteers and fosterers, probably around 30.
Thank you.
And Gary?
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca. Rebecca, your national office, how much do you get a major contribution from them?
So we're as the SPCA has become one body, so we're all funded through our national team.
Any more questions? Right, thank you very much for your presentation, Rebecca. So we'll let you know the result of the outcome of your application next week. And thank you again for your time this morning.
Thanks very much. Thanks for your time.
Cheers. Yep. Right, we're now going to be adjourning for 20 minutes and we'll reconvene at 10:25. Thank you, everyone.
We've got someone at Abbeyfield, but I'm assuming it's either Clive or Laurie.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll let them in.
Yes, please. Thanks.
Not surprising.
We've got
Oh, here we go.
Right. Hi, Laurie. It's Clive and Clive. So we've got Clive and Laurie from the Eastside Community Group, and gentlemen, you have 7 minutes to present, and then after that there will be 3 minutes of questions, and just a reminder as well that you're being live streamed. So the floor is yours. Go for it.
Yeah, good morning everyone, Laurie here. Thanks very much for giving us the time this morning. Eastside Community Group, we have applied to you for funding for our Eastside Festival. It used to be a spring festival. Last year it turned into a summer festival. We had to have it in March. It's a community event for the people, basically for the people of Eastside, though of course we're open to everyone. It's a 4-hour event with a number of activities. We have food stalls, we have displays, we have children's activities, we have competitions, chalk art for the younger ones, 3-on-3 basketball for the older ones. It's not a fundraiser for our community, it's purely for our community to come together, have an enjoyable day together, to be community. One of the other things we have, cultural presentations. We've had Samoan group, we've had Maori group, and earlier this year when we had it, we had a Bollywood group come along. So, as I say, a good community festival. Of course, it costs to put on. We've got a security, we've got to have toilets, a sound system, we have koha for those presenting, and all up it costs about $6,000. It's a good day, it's an event we don't want to miss out on, and we look forward to Masterton District Council being able to help us fund this event. I think I've said enough, and that should give you some background. Some of you may well have been present previously when we've had the event. Your call. Okay.
Thank you. Is there any questions, anyone? No questions.
Letting us please.
Sorry, go for it, Laurie.
No, I just said you're letting us off easy.
No, I think a lot of us know about the event anyway, but thank you very much for your time and thank you for putting in your application. So we'll be letting you know next week the outcome of your application. So thank you all for your time.
That would be appreciated. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
How do we get out of here? We shall leave the meeting.
Share History Trust.
I think it's relevant background information. Oh, this one.
How long has Larissa worked here for, Stephen?
Since 2015. Just check that email.
Or have you got 14? Yeah, because that means that we've seen
Right, are we ready to go here? So, welcome Gavin and Murray. So you've got 7 minutes to present, and then our bell will go on 7 minutes. And then there'll be 3 minutes of questions from people around the table. So the floor is yours, go for it.
I'm Gavin Tankersley, I'm the chairman of the Share History Trust, Murray's vice chairman and treasurer of the Share History Trust. We basically, as far as we're concerned, we're reapplying for the grant that you've given us in the past since we set up the operation. We are very pleased that we've actually had a 50% increase in our visitor numbers since the COVID restrictions have gone. So the past 12 months, 50% increase in visitor numbers. Last time we reported in, we sort of went on our income as far as visitor numbers go for the woolshed. We find that is misleading because a lot, school groups, older groups, we let through at times at a minimal charge. So the actual income we get from visitor numbers actually is misleading on the numbers, and we have since that time been recording the actual numbers that are coming through the door that are genuine, and we find we're up to around that 5,000 or so mark. Give or take a few hundred probably, but we believe we're serving the purpose. We are of course looking after the Jubilee Fire Engine Museum as well, and we're open 7 days a week. And the only 2 days that we are closed are Christmas Day and Anzac Day. The rest of the time we're open from 10 o'clock in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. One full-time staff member, Deb Keats, is our secretary, shop manager at the present moment, and she's there full-time during the week, and then we have the volunteers on the weekend and public holidays. We're pleased with the way things are going, and we're looking forward to the fact that visitor numbers should continue to increase as New Zealand opens up a bit more. Overseas visitors are pretty limited at the moment. We're not attracting too many from that point of view, as opposed to before COVID. That's really about it in a nutshell. The other item, of course, we're looking after for council is the steamroller, and that's our main exhibit in the Stewart Western Gallery. We feel that we're providing a worthwhile job to the town, and that we do earn our money in what we're doing. I'll hand over to Murray because we have probably got a couple of questions there, Murray, that we've been pushing for a while that we'd like resolved from council point of view. The other thing I'd like to say is we got funding from another group, and we've now got the area covered down both sides of the shed, both sides of our complex rather, for security. So we've got a camera working 24 hours a day, because there was a little bit of petty larceny sort of going on there. So we now have got good cameras as of about a month ago covering that area. So we feel we're serving a good purpose there as well, security-wise.
Thank you, Gavin.
Okay, I'll have it, Murray.
Yeah, there's one area that I think we're going to have to look to with council is the Fire Museum, because they're down to numbers of about 4, and I think they need 5 for a quorum or something. But I'm not sure. That's negotiations that we do need to probably do something about in the future, because without that facility, whether Share History Trust do more to run it or not, I'm not quite sure where we go, but that's an area in the future we do need to do something about. I'm not quite sure what it is or where we go, but that's something we do need to do. And the other bone I'll chew on again is our parking. If we can get some signs, it'd be good.
Thank you. Any questions, anyone? So with school groups, are you charging a limited amount, not the full amount for groups to go through?
No, we got a grant from,
The Trust Lands
Trust, and we don't charge.
That was for the past 12 months, so we weren't charging there. But we still don't. We charge a nominal amount just to cover the basic cost, but it is less than $2 a child. In most cases, it's really nothing.
Thank you. Bex?
Hi.
Yeah.
Hey, just a question, you know, all costs have risen, inflation, etc. Have you adjusted your admission charges for others in relation?
No, we haven't, not in the last few years, no.
Maybe you could?
Yeah, we could do, I guess. Yeah, that's, I guess, a good question. Around the country, I know I've visited similar sort of operations, and yeah, a lot of them are probably a little bit more expensive than us. We're $10 an adult, $20 a family, and $8 for pets.
But if they haven't changed for a number of years,
No,
and
they haven't.
your costs have increased, I would make a recommendation that it's business, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that is correct. We'll certainly have a look at that. We have, I guess we have resisted because we sort of thought, well, that there is a certain amount of resistance there when people come in, they expect it for free, because our toy next door is free, so they expect we're free as well, and we're not. So we're sort of two institutions. We've got a free one next door, we've got one with charges. It doesn't put a lot of people off, but it does with some. You're not free, so away they go.
Just a thought.
Yep, Gary?
I see the 15K museum hardship grant, is that a one-off? Was that a one-off?
Those have been just one-off grants with what the government has handed out to museums and the like. So I guess like everybody else, we sort of, well, it's been there, we might as well apply, which we did, and specific purposes.
It's not the only one that's going to be rolled over.
No.
Bex?
Just another question. The $12,000 grant from council, can you just clarify, that's really for the rental exchange, isn't it?
No, that as far as the charge, if we had to pay for our rates, if we had to pay rates for the land or the lease of the land we're on, you would be charging us $15,000. So you have already granted that as it's just a non-charge.
Okay.
This is over and above that to help with the running of the museum, the looking after the Jubilee.
So it's actual operating expenses?
It's operating costs, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? No, thank you very much, Gavin Murray. Thanks for coming in person. And we'll be in touch in the next week or so just to let you know about your application.
Thanks very much. We'll let you go back to your computers.
Thank you both.
Yeah, thanks for that. Catch up.
Kia ora, Jetta. So we now have Jetta Brown from the, I should know exactly where you're from, Jetta, from Rangatane, talking about presenting for Turangarau. So Jetta, it's being live streamed, and also you have 7 minutes to present, and then there'll be 3 minutes for questions at the end from the people around the table. So the floor is yours, Jetta. Go for it.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. Hi everybody, I'm Jetta from Turangarau. Before we move forward, I just wanted to acknowledge Dr. Owen Fry and his passing, and he's a valuable person to us because he helped Turangarau get to be able to function out of the Methodist Church out of Rangi. So yeah, pay my respects to him. So Turangarau's been open for 16 months now. We've supported 15 young people who have been excluded or
you hear us, Jenna? IT.
Is this in my existence?
I thought I had your number.
Yes. My mother would say she was always a messy child. This is water, not wine.
Yes.
Oh, here she is. Gina, can you hear
sorry.
us? We got you, you just froze.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened.
So start from the top again, Gina, please.
Okay. So Turangaro's been open for 16 months. We operate out of 85 Kaido Road. It used to be Ararangi Camp. We've supported 15 young people here at Turangaro that have been either excluded or are at risk of being excluded from mainstream education. We have supported and transitioned 5 of those rangatahi back into mainstream. We currently have 7 on our roll, and we are supporting 4 more of those rangatahi into a transition process from next term into different schools around the area. We have 3 students who come from South Wairarapa, Featherston and Carterton, and the rest of our students have come from Masterton. We run our program a little bit differently, so our students are enrolled on Te Kura Correspondence, which is where they get their numeracy and literacy learning from, and our team in the classroom support them with that. We have Te Kura come out here once a month to check up on how things are going. We run the rest of our day under a Mātauranga Māori process, so we focus on getting the kids re-engaged with reconnecting to themselves, to their whenua. We also get involved in other community projects, so they go up and support pukaha once a week and we help them replant. They go out and learn about the different birds and the tuna there. They also engage in other little projects there, and we've done that a couple of times since we've been open, and they really seem to enjoy that. They've also been involved in other community stuff like onboard skating, which they've learnt many talents through that team. We haven't done that for a little bit yet because of the weather, but they get involved in that. They've also visited the marae around Wairarapa and connected themselves and their whānau to their marae. We do projects out here, which includes things like tuku panels. They're learning about taonga tākaro, so Māori games from our past and history. There's so much that they're doing. They learn how to make pinaki for catching kai. They look after our farm animals, so we have sheep, calves and chickens out here. So they learn about those things as well. There's lots of stuff that goes on in our classroom and also out in our environment and out in our community. We're really excited because a number of other schools are starting to come on board and reaching out to us for some support. And we believe that we're working really hard and really well to supporting our young people from not being removed from mainstream learning. We also continue to support our tauira when they do return back to mainstream. We check in on them weekly, make sure things are going okay, and we have really good relationships with our principals that we're working alongside as well. So that's a bit of a picture of what we do. We do get our main funding from Department of Internal Affairs. We've also been blessed with funding from some of our local funders, such as you guys, our Masterton District Council, Trust House, Masterton Trustees Trust, and we've also had support from free school lunches through JBAR, and we've had lots of other community members come in and offer some tautoko as well. So we're really excited about where we are at the moment. We're working really hard with our rangatahi and the whānau to re-engage in positive learning and activities within the community. We also support some of our kids to engage in sports. So pretty much all of our children haven't been engaged in sports when they've come here. So we've got a couple of them back into rugby and rugby league. They're also looking at basketball. And some of our schools are also supporting some of their kids that they refer over here to continue with kapahaka and sports through these schools as well. So it's really good. Yeah.
Thanks, Jenna. Is there any questions? Marama.
Kia ora, Gina.
Kia ora.
Do the schools help you with funding at all?
No. We have had support from our lovely Tim, who's sitting there, and he helped us get started at the very beginning, and gifted us some Chromebooks and some resources. They don't necessarily support us with funding, but they have supported us in different ways. So we also have Russell, who has gifted us some tables and chairs, and if we're needing any resources, we know that we can reach out to Tim and Russell, and we've also got some support from Chanel College as well that have offered to give us any resourcing that we're needing at the time.
Okay, my next question is, do you only cater for Māori children?
Carl, no, so we've got a number of different ethnicities here. So we have Māori, we have an Aboriginal boy, we have had European children as well. We don't just cater to Māori, we cater to rangatahi who are in need at the time.
Thank you.
Gary?
Hi, Jenna. Jenna, do you operate within the school, confines of the school year? Do you have the same holidays as the schools?
Yes, we do. We function according to the school term, so they're with us from 9 to 3 each day of the week, and then we go by the school holidays as well.
Okay, thank you.
Jenna, what impact has being able to use Te Kura had on the group, just for teaching and learning?
So, yeah, like I said, they provide us with literacy and numeracy programs. They also, if kids have a different interest, they also send us work over that we can support them with alongside that as well. But most of our learning does come through programs that we design, project-based programs. Their normal day structure in the classroom is in the morning, they do their numeracy and literacy, and then we move into project-based learning from the afternoon.
Thanks, Jenna. And Marama?
Jenna, how many people would be involved with the program? The teachers only, adults?
So we have 4 staff. We have Mark Brown, who is the kaiapō, and then we have Jamie Daly, who's just come on board. He provides the Mātauranga Māori based learning, and he's also the main support in the classroom. We also have Katarina Te Tau, who has joined us just over 3 months ago, and she focuses on the transition plans and supports the whānau and our rangatahi to work alongside the schools to help make sure that the transition back into their school is strong and positive. We also developed a database so that we could capture all of the voices involved in making sure that these plans are strong. And we have a rupe process, which is that shape-shifting period, and involved in that rupe process is the whānau's voice. So she goes and meets with them and sits with them and talks in depth about what they'd like for their child. She talks to the child and gets their voice, and then goes and communicates with the schools and also RTLB now have jumped on and are supporting us as well to make sure our transitions back into the schools are really supported to make sure that these don't fail for our kids. And then there's myself, the Paupaka Haere, who looks after all of the other stuff that goes on for our children out here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jetta. Thanks for your time, Jetta. So we'll be in touch in the next week or so, just with an update on the application. So thanks again.
Awesome, thanks.
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to quickly thank you guys for supporting us since we opened. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
See you, Jetta.
Happy to.
Right, welcome. We've now got George, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, George Sandoval from the All Kiwi Sports Club Incorporated. And George, just a reminder that you're being live streamed and you have 15 minutes, sorry, you've got 7 minutes to present, I beg your pardon, and then 3 minutes for questions at the end. So all yours, George, go for it.
Okay, my name is Jorge Sandoval.
I got it wrong. Yeah.
Jorge Sandoval. It's okay. I've been called worse. Anyway, you guys, I'm sure you all know about a cycle race event in Masterton. So I'm not gonna go on telling you what the cycle race is all about because such a limited time. But you know, I just want to emphasize 3 different points that maybe will help you to make a decision on their favor. You know, firstly, you know, the air event, as you know, is the only international event in Masterton and Wairarapa. There are no other international event here that put Masterton in a global stage like we do by air television coverage. Not just in New Zealand, but to many countries around the world, they see the half-an-hour highlight every day. There are thousands of people all over the world watching this and looking at Masterton. So, like I say, air event is unique. We're the only event here that goes on regardless of the weather. We don't cancel because it's too windy, and we don't cancel because it's a little rain. The rides still go on, which is really good. You know, I was looking at the list of people there that you listen and talking today. To be honest with you, I don't want to sound rude, but I think that you guys got a responsibility to allocate money in a way of quality and no quantity. I believe they're giving $200 or $500 to little groups, which that they might need. It's not what the council is all about, because when you consider maybe 2 other events and ours, what we do for the region when it comes to economic impact and promoting the region is a lot. And those organizations should be supported. We don't try to keep everyone happy by giving him a little bit of money and say, look, here you go, $500, go away. The rise next year, again, is going to be 3 days here in Wairarapa and 2 in Wellington at this stage. It could be 4 days in Wairarapa and 1 in Wellington. That will be finalized in the next few days. As you know, we've been lucky this year to get the rise, and Trust House pulled out of the rise this year after a long time supported. So we're lucky to have the sport of New Zealand coming to the support of ARI for 1 year. So honestly, you know, if Masterton appreciate what we're doing, and you want the right to stay here in Masterton, I think we need your support to enable us to go, you know, carry on and stay in the rest here in Masterton. One of the new things we're doing next year, we are supporting one of the college here in Masterton, Borden College, and we want to put about 70% of the people in that college. Because they are school holidays, they want the money, they want the business, so we're going to start the college, the riders, and some rights official, which is not just good for the event, but it's also good for helping the community in this case. Schools need the money, and we are happy to support them as well. So, other than this, I don't have much to say, you know, so if you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but my main point is, the council should be logical and responsible when allocate the money. And like I say again, give money to events that are quality and do a lot for the region, and not just quantity to keep a few guys happy. You know? I think we deserve it, as the history shown. That's the only international event in Masterton, regardless of what people think. We are the only international event in Wairarapa and the only international bike race in New Zealand. As much some people don't like cycling, but that's the guts of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. Any questions? Bo Bex?
Yeah, hi George. Just wondering what the colleges that you're working with regards to that opportunity?
It's the college, the girls' college that is off Upper Blind there, to the right?
Solway.
No, to the,
Oh,
going
St.
up to the right,
Matthews.
it's the girls' college.
St. Matthews.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
How many nights, does the whole group stay overnight in Masterton? Like, are they using accommodation here during the race?
Yeah, we got for next year's race, we got a total of 192 people, including race officials, drivers, team managers, and workers. Everybody arrives, the overseas teams arrive here on Monday, which is 2 days before the race. All race officials and New Zealand teams arrive on Tuesday. And we all stay in Masterton from Monday to Saturday morning. So Friday night stay here. And if we race in 2 days in Wellington, we go to Wellington on Saturday morning. But if no racing in Wellington next year, we stay here and an extra night, and we go to Wellington on Sunday morning.
Thank you.
So it's a lot of money spending. One of the bigger expenses for us is the accommodation and traffic management plans.
Any more questions? Right, thank you very much for your time. So we'll be in touch.
I should like to say that I sent an email to the mayor, and I'm still waiting a reply for it. So I'm a bit disappointed that I approached you guys and never get even a reply to say thanks but no thanks. I don't know whether this is going to help me with the application, but I have to say things the way they are. You know, as a member of this community, I expect the authorities to acknowledge what we're doing and to reply to us, even if they don't agree with what we're doing. Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Okay, please accept our apology for that oversight too. Thank you. And thanks for your time.
I'm sure I've got a letter at all. I can't remember getting a letter.
Email is. Right. Right, we now have, I hope I'm saying the name correctly, Murdan Patel from the Wairarapa Indian Association. Can you hear us? Oh, we can't hear you. Could you just turn your speak?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. So just reminding you that you're being live streamed and that you have 7 minutes to present, and then there'll be 3 minutes for questions from the people around the table after that. So the floor is yours, go for it.
Awesome, thank you. And we have another couple of people from Masterton joining. Should we wait or should I start?
Thank you.
Yeah. So basically we apply for the Diwali funding. As a festival, it's of a very high cultural importance. It's one of the main religious festival, and it's also known as the Festival of Light throughout the world, or Row of Light. The importance it has is, so the new generation kids in the community, it is something that's very important for them, for us to pass it on and let them know the importance of it, the same way how it happens back in India, the same way we do it here. Since years it is happening. It is just now that we have people like Aarti representing within the system, in the council, and the confidence that it has given the community overall with such a nice welcoming community sort of program that is happening within the council. So we definitely want to grow from here as a community with a lot of confidence, as well as the wider community, as in the wider upper community, and showcasing the importance of the festival, as well as having a wider acceptance and involvement as well at the same time. When we speak of the festival itself, yes, it is the festival of lights, as well as it is the symbolic thing behind it is the victory of light over evil, of darkness, as we say. It has the religious importance as well as cultural importance from north to south and east to west across the nation back in India. And therefore, it is a festival where, so every region has its own festival, but Diwali is a national festival as well. So that is something where the whole wider community from India as well, from different aspects of cultures and regions come together. And that's where, we now think that it is time for us to grow and having a lot more wider community as a regional community getting involved as well. It includes, to start with, some fine cultural food, fireworks, lighting of candles and lamps, and it is enjoyed for over 5 days. But for us, the Wairarapa community, over years, the elders of the community are quite new. I'm settled in Masterton since 5 years, but what I've heard is the other families since years, they were quietly hiring the hall at Solway School. The school trust has been really good and supporting in terms of rent and everything, where they have been getting together, ordering food, catering food from Wellington, people getting involved, and all that was happening on a smaller scale. But with everything like this, also involves a lot of costs, a lot of man hours in terms of engaging and making it happen on a nicer scale, in a better way. So that's what we think from here we should be doing, especially with the kind of support that you have in place to the system. And handing over to you guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Murang. Has anyone got any questions? Yes, Stella?
Thank you for that. Have you applied for any further funding, events funding from other grant organisations?
We haven't at this stage. What happened was we were very short of time, and especially when this opportunity was brought to us, timeline was less, as well as what we were suggested through RT and Chris, one of the elder members who came and someone from the council helped to fill the form and everything in the right way. We were told that let's go for Diwali this year, and if it is a success, if it happens, then we will work well before the timeline, and we will be guided as well by Aarti and her team and the wider people in the council, that which other organizations we can go for, we can apply, we can do online and all that. This time, no, it is just the Diwali festival and only the wider community, welcome communities that we have applied for.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. Just to confirm, is this the first time the festival will be taking place in Masterton? Is that right? Or am I?
On this scale, yes. On a smaller scale, with small group of people, and talking about small, it was still about 100, 150 at some stage. It has been happening at Solway School Hall, but people were just within the small group doing it by themselves.
And just one more question, is this a festival that anyone can come along to celebrate in, or is it for a specific group of people?
No, it is wider. It is, so what we wanted is, yes, they were only a small group of people celebrating it. But from here, we want to actually celebrate it on a very wider scale. It's a festival celebrated throughout the world where just non-Indian or non-Hindu communities are involved as well. It's like Christmas, you know. When it's Christmas, it's a Christmas temple. So that's how Diwali should be celebrated. And from here, we want it that way.
Thank you very much for your time. So we'll be in touch next week just about the application that you've made. So thanks again, and thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Yes. Thank you.
The next guy is, I just see his name's surname's not spelled right, so it's so
Oh, yeah.
should just be sorry.
Correct.
Okay. So,
Soliano. Yeah. Right. Where do you get a time? Oh, yeah. I can set a time.
Oh, go on, mate.
Yeah.
Worked, huh?
Right. Now, we now have Ryan Soliano from the Wairarapa Filipino Society. So, Ryan, can you hear us?
Yes, yes, I can.
Great. So, Ryan, you have 7 minutes to share your presentation, and there'll be 3 minutes of questions from us after that. So, the floor is yours, Ryan. Go for it.
All right. Good morning, everybody. So I applied for a grant to run our resilience program through sports, but it's to get the community to be physically active through sports events. So in our project proposal, it's the sports highlighted are both volleyball and basketball. But we also have an addition of the bowling program for our senior members of our community. We use this program. This program has been running for the last 5 years. During the COVID period, we managed to get some grants from DIA and MSD with those one-off resilience program grant applications. But previous to that, we usually rely on private sponsors. Now, it's really difficult to get private, getting those sponsorships from the same people all the time. Hence the reason why we seek assistance from either the national government or the local government. So it's been working, a really good buy-in, especially for the Filipino community, which have risen from a population of 600 all over the Wairarapa to 1,100 now, including children, since the approval of the RB21 residency visa. So we use this program as a vehicle as well for spin-offs, such as forums and stuff. So we do that in between. So this is the quickest way we advertise for forums that we hold to provide support for our Filipino community in the Wairarapa. Of course, the main vehicle is, or the main town would be Masterton at all times, because the majority of the population is based here. So, so it's been working. This program of ours have been working, and hopefully we can get some support from local government.
Thanks.
And, yeah.
Any questions from anyone? Just one for me, Ryan. Is the Filipino community growing faster in Masterton than in other areas around the country, or is it?
Yeah. Well, I only obtained the sort of the statistical information for the Wairarapa region. I couldn't really access growth spurts, but it was pretty evident in Filipino forums through social media when asking other community leaders in other regions the percentage of their population growth. But Ours is about 47% here in the Wairarapa alone.
Bex, yep.
Yeah, hi Ryan, it's Bex here.
Hi Bex.
You've got two tournaments here that you're planning for. When would you be planning to hold those two tournaments?
Yeah, the first one have already started last weekend. So the opening games was open last Saturday. And the second one would be in autumn. Hence the reason why we have two vehicles. But the major draw basically is the one in autumn, because that's a longer tournament, and that's where most of our community members have most days off, especially in the apiary industry, because it's autumn and winter, where not much work is done, and majority of our population is within the apiary industry.
Yeah. So when is the next one?
Usually starts in April.
April. Okay. And my next question is, Ryan, you haven't applied for funding to any of the local trusts?
The one with the local trust is more, the funding is more for the cultural team. So we have I've separated into two groups. One that is responsible for physical and well-being, and then the other one is more on the cultural. When I apply for funding through the local trust, particularly FDLT and Trust House, it's always for the cultural group, so we can actually sustain our cultural team to perform or present our culture in a local or regional setting. So, like at the moment, we're still using the old repertoire from 3 years now. Presenting this coming Saturday at our cultural festivities at Park Street this coming Saturday.
Yeah. Ryan, have you ever applied for funding from the Masterton Community Trust, which is the funding arm of Trust House?
Sorry, say that again, Bex.
Have you ever applied for funding from the Masterton Community Trust, which is the funding arm of Trust House?
No, I think one of your requirements now is one of the essential requirements. I think that you have to be an incorporated society.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your presentation. So we'll be in touch next week just with the outcome of your application.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
You're swimming very patrol yesterday. 8 has crossed and 7 were Filipinos. Yesterday, they're just scrolling so much. There's a pretty big room. It's always going through so big, because they all like Right. Hi Francis, can you hear us?
I've just got it in my calendar. It's the rotor.
No, she'll come up when
Okay.
she's,
Oh, yeah, of
when
course,
it's,
yeah.
it's still, I don't know what's going on.
Oh, do you? It's 6 o'clock, isn't it?
We're currently live
Oh,
streaming.
I've got it in my diary. I didn't RSVP, but I.
Just remember guys, we're live streaming, thanks to Gary.
I was going.
We're still live streaming. You've been censured, Gary.
Number 14, Wellbeing Drive.
She might just be waiting until 11:25 in the dog.
No, it should be loading. It's just taking a while to get
Hi Francis, can you hear us?
Yes, I can, thank you. Yeah. I'm just sitting here in the it might be a bit of background noise.
That's okay, we can cope with that. So we've got Francis from the Motu Uru Trust, and Francis, you've got 7 minutes to present, and then we'll have 3 minutes of questions after that. So go for it, Francis.
First of all, I'll explain what the group is. This is a group set up to support young teens who have issues with anxiety, some of them bullying, some family issues, but not at such a high level that they qualify for some of our other services which we have here. The idea is to work with these teens before they get to that level and to help them navigate through whatever the issues are for them at present. The group was set up by the social workers at Motuaru Trust in response to a need that they recognised when they were working with families, and they recognised this need for the teenagers. These teens are ones who won't join big groups. Some of them even had difficulty going to school. They find those situations quite anxiety producing. So the group has been kept deliberately small, with a maximum of about 8 students in each group. Originally they had 2 groups. I think they've combined into 1 group at present. And they've started to work on things. They started with things like games and doing activities together and having afternoon tea together. However, they've graduated from there. They now have a plot at the community garden and have got quite keen on gardening and producing their own food and wanting to start cooking with the food that they've made. From there, they've even expressed an interest in cooking for other groups in the community, which the community centre has a program for. They've also begun a radio show of their own. They were supported in this to begin with to get it up and running, and they now run this themselves. So that's really developed their confidence, their self-confidence, and feeling that they can do stuff in the community. So that's the idea, is develop that resilience and confidence within the group so that they then no longer need the group, hopefully. And the old students in the group are helping to mentor some of the newer ones coming in now. So they're taking some sort of a leadership role. We want to expand that by getting them into an outdoor ed program, hopefully over the holidays, because they've expressed a wish to not stop meeting in the holidays. They want to keep going, and they want to keep meeting and doing things. So that's our next goal, is to get them a few outdoor activities to develop that leadership during the holiday periods. Along with this, the 2 support workers have been working with the group. We've had a trainee social worker and a youth worker working with the group just to mentor them and help them to move along and progress in what they want to do, and to suggest things to them, get them involved in things. So that's been working really well. We've had some good feedback from other agencies and parents about how well it's been working. So that's an ongoing expense to keep this running. Initially this was set up by Motuaru Development, which is a social service. However, they decided it needed trust to continue the funding and to continue this group, because it has worked well. I'm not sure if my 7 minutes is up yet. Just about getting there.
3 minutes to go if you want, Francis.
I think probably that most of it in a nutshell, but really it's about getting the continuing funding so we can keep this group going, mentor new students. Sort of the age group is around 12 to 16-year-olds. So it's quite a young age group, but an important age group too. I think I'll open it to questions now. I think I've pretty much set most of it out.
Thanks, Francis. Any questions? Right, Marama?
Thank you very much, Francis. About how many students would you have in a year?
The group's been kept deliberate to about 8 students. we found that if the group gets too big, the anxiety issues amongst the students who are there starts coming out. 8 students they can cope with, and they are developing those friendships along with that.
And is that for a year?
As long as they need it, basically. The hope is that they will not need it shortly. It's only been going a short while, so that's not been tested as yet. But the idea is that the groups will outgrow the need and new students will come in.
Thank you.
Gary?
Hi, Francis. Francis, is this is obviously done outside school hours, is that right?
Yes, yes. They meet after 3 and start with afternoon tea and a bit of a get-together.
Okay.
And that has involved some transport for some students, actually. We've got a couple that come from Masterton who are collected and brought up and then taken home afterward.
And you work in with other social agencies?
Yes, definitely.
Francis, how do people know about you? How would someone who needed your service find out about your trust?
Motuari Trust is fairly well advertised among the social service agencies. So the trust itself, not the trust so much, but the Motuari group. And the trust actually is not terribly well advertised other than through word of mouth and through social agencies. It's probably a very good point because we're quite new and the trust itself is quite new. So that's something really good that we need to look at. Other than through the radio show, of course, is the FM show would advertise the group and also advertises people who've donated to the group.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you for your time. So we'll be in touch next week just with what's happened with the application.
That's excellent. Thank you very much for the time.
Great. Thanks for sharing. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Good, Lawrence. Right.
Good thing, how are we?
Yep. We've got Lawrence today from the Wairarapa Youth Charitable Trust. So, Lawrence, you've got 7 minutes to share, and then there'll be 3 minutes for questions at the end after that. So the floor is yours, Lawrence. Go for it.
I don't think I need 7 minutes, so you might get a drink break somewhere. Wairarapa Youth Charitable Trust, I think we've applied for $10,000 to cover some operational / running costs for the gym and salaries. We've got a few programs we're running at the moment. We've got in our boxing programs, we've got a minis class, which is 5 to 7 year olds. We've got a junior class, which covers 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 year olds. Then we have a senior class, which is 14 plus, and we have an adults class, a mums only class, and then we have a 5:30 a.m. class. If any of you would like to join at 5:10 in the morning, more than welcome to come along. We also have we've just reopened up our school group program, and then we also have our attendance support program, which helps make you an MIS. And we're working on a couple of other programs as we speak as well. And so that's pretty much what we do. We work with at-risk and troubled youth. Our aims are, or our main vision is to help our youth be the best they can be, is essentially what our big vision is. So questions. I'm not that good at this stuff, so
we know, Lawrence.
Questions upstairs, and I'll just answer.
Does anyone have any questions, Bex?
Yeah, hey Lawrence, it's Bex here.
Hey Bex.
Just a question, what sort of numbers are you getting through now? Students and classes?
Students wise,
Yeah.
we're tenants at our Shannon / the office manager / my boss. She did the numbers last week and it was about 153, I think. We have at the moment currently registered just with our boxing programs. That's just youth. That doesn't include the adults, the mums or our AM classes.
And they're coming through a couple of times a week, 3 times a week, what sort of?
Three times a week. So our classes run for our juniors, our minis and all our adults. So our AM classes our youth classes are 3 days a week, Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. And they start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and normally I don't walk out of here till 8:30 at night.
Thank you.
Marama?
Kia ora, Lawrence.
Kia ora.
Are you the only worker there, besides the office worker? Like, do you do the boxing training or?
Yes, I run the boxing classes. I pretty much operate 90% of the classes myself, along with Daisy Omundson, who's also one of our boxers, one of our senior boxers. She helps me run and work with the junior classes. A couple of our other boxers help with those junior classes as well. So not only are we working with our youth to try and improve, we're trying to employ some of them as well to give back to our other youth that are coming up. And I've also got another employee who helps run our AM classes and one of our adults classes, which is Ali White. You may remember her as Ali Todd. So she helps with some of our classes as well. And then we've also got a couple of volunteers who help with our senior and adult boxing, and that's Morgan Austin and Brady McDowell.
Right, thank you. And how are people referred to you? Are they through the schools if they're at risk? I mean, some will just come along anyway, but...
Yeah, so yeah, some come along just because word of mouth, social media. We get some through schools and school groups. We get some referred to us through principals who are having a hard time with certain things in their lives. We get referrals from the police, Oranga Tamariki, and other organisations like that as well, and folders, stuff like that.
Thank you.
And Gary?
Lawrence, the Boxing Academy has won itself quite a reputation for also going out helping other service organisations in town. You guys still doing that?
Yes, it's one of my big passions because I've got a very big belief as much as we ask from people like yourselves, the council, Trust House, Masterton Lands Trust, we try and give as much back as we can, i.e. working bees, other food bank. I think we've just done the school run 3 weeks ago, I think. Yeah, we've done the school food collection for food bank 3 or 4 weeks ago. And yeah, whenever they do the big street appeal, we're a big part of that as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lawrence. So, Lawrence, we'll be in touch with you guys next week just with the outcome of your application. Thanks for your time.
Awesome. Thank you very much, team.
Cheers. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
So this one's going to work. Hi, Sarah.
Morning, how are you all?
Good, thank you, Sarah. So we've got Sarah from Eventing Wairarapa. So, Sarah, you've got 7 minutes to share with our group, and then there'll be 3 minutes for questions after that. So go for it, Sarah.
Okay, fantastic. Eventing Wairarapa obviously covers the discipline of eventing, which is like triathlon. It's what Mark Todd and Andrew Nicholson do. Janelle Price and Tim Price is an equestrian sport. So we cover the Wairarapa region. About 12 years ago we moved venues. We were based down in Tauhiraneko. We moved up to Masterton for a couple of years, but obviously with the changing use of the Solway A&P showgrounds, we didn't have that area because we have the cross-country discipline, which is over a fairly wide area. And so we moved down to Clearville. This year we're really excited. We've been granted the rights to host the National Young Rider and Junior Rider Championships. It's been 16 years since the Wairarapa has hosted a national eventing championship, and actually, in looking into our history, it's been 60 years this year that the Wairarapa first hosted a national eventing championship, which was held in Masterton. So excited to be hosting that this year. The event is held in November, and we're hoping for about 150 combinations of horse and riders to come along with it. We typically get 150, but this year we're hoping for a few more, given that we are hosting the championships. The event primarily caters for local Wairarapa riders, but we do get a lot from the Lower North Island, and this year we're hoping to even get more from further afield, given that we'll have that we'll be hosting those championships. We get a lot of support from local businesses, particularly Masterton, and a lot of our riders and our committee are all from the Masterton region. So really appreciate you guys considering the grant, given that we are slightly out of the region, but slightly out of the Masterton area, but we do have a lot of support. We use a lot of services from Masterton, and we have a lot of riders and committee members from there. So this year we're applying for some support from you guys to cover our sound and secretarial costs. We have a paid secretary. It's a nominal sum of $1,000, given the amount of work that the secretary has to do in the lead up, during and after the event. And we also pay to get a sound system in so that we can basically commentate during the event, promote our sponsors and our grantors, and keep riders sort of a track of everything during the competition. It probably summarises what we're applying to you for, but I'm happy to answer questions or let me know if I've missed anything.
Thanks, Sarah. Does anyone have any questions? Yep, Gary?
Hi, Sarah. Sarah, does Eventing New Zealand give you support for events, funding support for an event like this?
No, Eventing New Zealand doesn't have a huge amount of money in their coffers, other than the money that's granted towards the high performance program, which obviously can't be allocated around the country. We get support in terms of the officials and the officials' education. And actually we've had some support. We've recently purchased some new safety equipment, and they've certainly assisted us with that, but no funding directly, no. The event costs us around $35,000 to run. We get obviously some money in from entry fees, but it's largely funded from sponsorship. We get around $7 to $8 grand from memory, from grants, and then from activities that we do during the year, such as training clinics, practice days, etc. The biggest cost tends to be the cross country, because those are obviously large, kind of mobile, and some permanent fences. They take a lot to have them up to spec from a safety perspective, and obviously just cost of materials at the moment are really expensive. We've spent a long time trying to get ourselves back to a position where we can host a nationals, and as I said, it's been 16 years since the Wairarapa's hosted a nationals, but we've done a lot of work, and I'm talking sort of hundreds of thousands of dollars into our cross country, over $100,000 into our cross country to enable it to happen So we're in a good position to be able to promote the Wairarapa and host it.
But from this point of view of this particular event, you don't really try and make money out of it. It's basically, yeah.
No, it's certainly not a money-making exercise, and any money that we do make, we made a small profit last year, went straight back into our facilities.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah. So, Sarah, we'll be back in touch with you next week once we've been through the deliberation process.
Okay, thanks for hearing me, guys. All the best.
You too. Bye-bye.
Mātua.
Yep, and yeah, so we'll adjourn now until 12:35 p.m. Thanks, everyone.
Very slow, just a lot.